Okay, you can start your presentation again.
Thanks, Aves. Today, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to engage with you, exchange knowledge, and understand how we can support you on your digital transformation journey. By way of introduction, my name is Sugen, Naidoo, and I look after the business of confirmation across Africa. Please use this opportunity to connect with me on LinkedIn to further our conversation around digital transformation of the audit confirmation process. Surely we have all processed a manual information request. You will agree with me that in a post-COVID world, there is no real place for that anymore. During our time together, we will gain an understanding of audit confirmations, its significance in fostering economic growth, the challenges faced in this age-old process, and how we can add value for you by driving innovation in this space. That's been one of my mantras: focus and simplicity. Simple can be harder than complex. You have to work hard to get your thinking clean to make it simple. But it's worth it in the end, because once you get there, you can move mountains. This is a quote from Steve Jobs. Innovation is driven by going deep, truly understanding the essence and having a holistic view of the issue we are trying to resolve. In the case of business process innovation, this means using technology to our advantage, which translates to maximizing efficiencies, optimizing resources, enhancing the protection of information, and what's more prevalent with the pandemic, the ability to work remotely. The banking industry is under this constant pressure to innovate, which is easier said than done in such a large and complex organization. For clarity, I want to provide a definition of what a bank audit confirmation is. It is a procedure performed by auditors whereby they independently request information relating to their client directly from a financial institution. The type of information confirmed includes bank balances and loans, which is then used as evidence to support a client's audited financial statements. For example, if an organization claims to have 1 billion in the bank account of a financial institution, their external auditor must confirm this. The cash position of an organization provides vital information on its financial health. This process sounds very simple, and it should be, but there is more to it. This information supports the audited financial statements of a banking client, which the bank itself places reliance on when providing loans or granting finance. The process involves sharing client-sensitive information with an outside party, which brings about confidentiality risk. Bank confirmations are subject to high fraud risk because the easiest way to steal cash and go undetected is simply to change the figures on a bank confirmation. When the auditor receives this compromised information, fraud can go undetected for years, leading to company collapse, financial exposure, and a loss of confidence in the audit process. The question is, how exposed are you to confirmation fraud? Let me tell you about a few of these instances. PFG Best, a company based in the USA, had been incurring fraud for more than 20 years. The chairman of the company had been intercepting and changing the information on bank confirmations before sharing it with the auditors. The US Futures Board, which is a regulatory body for this industry, had required auditors to use confirmation in obtaining audit certificates. Upon using confirmation for the very first time, it was immediately discovered that the chairman had committed fraud in excess of over 200 million US dollars. A more recent case is that of Wirecard Germany, where auditors had obtained a confirmation of bank balances from the company's trustees and not directly from the financial institutions where this cash was held. Upon an independent investigation, it was uncovered that $2.1 billion in cash had never existed. In the case of Parmalat, the client had provided a false bank confirmation to their auditors, and it even included a forged signature of an employee at the bank. Excuse me. The bank was then sued by Parmalat, having incurred $100 million in legal costs to defend themselves against involvement in this fraud. A case much closer to home is that of Cadbury, Nigeria, where there had been cash embezzlement of $34 million. This could have easily been identified if the audit firm had performed this crucial bank confirmation process. These cases, as we see each year, highlight the importance of not only performing this process, but performing it through a secure channel with legitimate and validated parties. What we see is that such fraud is a prevalent global issue, implicating banks in lawsuits and subjecting you to financial exposure when client loans can no longer be recovered. The reason why there have been so many instances of fraud is because there are many flaws in the manual process. Digital transformation helps close this gap. Let us have a look at what the data tells us. In the 2020 Global Economic Crime and Fraud Survey, published by PricewaterhouseCoopers, there are key findings which are relevant to our topic of discussion. 31% of respondents had experienced asset misappropriation, where asset misappropriation includes cash embezzlement, a fraud easily concealed through manipulating the bank confirmation process. The perpetrators of fraud may be external to the bank, internal, or a collusion between the two. The audit confirmation is an independent check allowing for the identification of cash misappropriation. When the correct measures are in place to ensure that this procedure is performed securely between validated parties, it acts to detect and prevent such fraud from occurring. In life, we often do not see the need for something until we have a negative experience which creates awareness. In addition to this financial losses incurred when it comes to fraud, there are unquantifiable costs which include brand damage and a loss of market position, which can be mitigated if we act early. Organizations who have invested in fraud prevention have incurred lower costs when an instance of fraud was experienced, once again highlighting the importance of being proactive when it comes to bank confirmations. We need to ask ourselves, what are the challenges and gaps when it comes to this process? In the traditional process, requests are received from unauthenticated parties through unsecure channels such as post, fax, and email, arriving at different entry points of the bank. In addition to the administrative burden and inefficiencies brought about by performing this process manually, we also need to consider the associated risks. What are the challenges in relation to this process? Who are we providing the information to? We need to know who is requesting this information, as it is client confidential. Who has had access to this information? We need assurance on whether this information has been accessed and viewed by individuals with the appropriate rights. Has the request been completed and approved, completed by approved personnel? We need enhanced transparency and accountability. We must be able to confirm that information has been provided by approved bank personnel to ensure its accuracy and completeness. Has the integrity of the information been protected? The completed request must be sent securely and directly to the auditor who has requested it to maintain its integrity and protect the bank against fraud risk. With all these unknowns in the current process, reputational risk is a real consideration. Now that we understand the risks and inefficiencies of this process, how do we innovate? Confirmation is answering this question today. Let me provide you with a short background. Confirmation is a highly secure digital platform that has been around for 20 years. It is a solution used widely across Africa and globally by thousands of financial institutions and audit firms of all sizes to digitally transform the manual audit confirmation process, minimizing risks while enhancing efficiencies and compliance. Banks using confirmation have reported increased efficiencies of up to 90%. The system maintains the highest levels of security, giving you a strong hold over the processing of this client-sensitive information. Using a single secure channel only accessible by validated and authenticated parties, confirmation streamlines and centralizes this process for banks. Given what we've said here now, what does an ideal workflow look like? If we start at the beginning with a validated auditor, with confirmation, auditors are validated and authenticated before gaining access to the platform, where they undergo thorough checks to ensure that they have the necessary credentials to be requesting audit confirmations from a financial institution. The bank can take comfort knowing that requests are received from and that they are disclosing client-sensitive information to legitimate auditors. Moving on to client approval. Such authorization is provided electronically through the platform, giving a view of, in addition to the client's signature, their contact details, and even the IP address of the device used to provide the approval, enhancing the verification process for the bank and allowing it to be easily traced back to the client. Only once client authorization has been obtained is the auditor able to send a confirmation request to the bank, providing an added level of security. Excuse me. I will now cover on points 3 to 6, which covers receiving the request, sourcing the information, completing it, and submitting it for review. When the auditor initiates a request, it is sent securely through the platform to bank-approved personnel who will provide information and complete the request. The information is sourced and uploaded electronically. The request will then be assigned to a supervisor for review, who, upon providing the approval, this request will then be returned to the auditor. Confirmation provides a detailed end-to-end audit trail as to who accessed and performed actions on any given request, expediting the review process, providing assurance that authorized employees are attending to requests, and enhancing the accuracy of information while protecting its confidentiality. Once the request has been completed and approved, it is automatically and securely returned to the auditor, preventing any unauthorized access from taking place and ensuring that it reaches the auditor in its original form directly from the bank. All completed requests are maintained on the platform, eliminating the costs, administration, printing, filing, storage, also enhancing compliance with bank record retention policies. By applying the core principles of digital transformation, confirmation enhances the process, offering a secure and closed channel of communication, significantly reducing the risk of providing client-sensitive information to unauthorized parties, as only legitimate auditors have access to confirmation. With enhanced client authorization, banks can easily verify the client approval provided due to this comprehensive information received. As confirmation streamlines and centralizes the process according to individual circumstances of the particular bank, the unnecessary steps and inefficiencies of the current approach are removed, saving time and allowing you to better service your clients. As noted, the platform provides an end-to-end audit trail of all actions related to a particular request, enhancing transparency and accountability. The platform acts as a robust management tool, providing the bank with complete oversight of the process, allowing for better management and control. Reporting functionalities provide valuable insight, such as all requests that are pending and the aging, which in turn supports compliance with client service level agreements and allows you to monitor your turnaround times. The platform is web-based, having no hardware or software requirements. All that is required is an active internet connection. As noted, the solution is completely paperless, allowing for a secure communication in addition to saving on the time and costs incurred in printing, filing, and storing paper documents. Lastly, the platform is user-friendly with an intuitive interface. This simplicity of confirmation truly comes to light when we see it in practice. And for this reason, I'd like to take you through a short walkthrough of the platform. We're going to switch over to my internet browser now. What I'm going to do first is look at it from an auditor's perspective. So what does the auditor need to do in order to send a request through to a financial institution? Before the auditor can even gain access to the platform, our validations team will ensure that they have the necessary credentials. Once our team has performed their vetting process, the auditor will then be able to send a request through to a financial institution currently making use of our platform. The auditor would log in using their ID and password. Once the auditor logs in, they will be faced with a tutorial video giving them an overview of how to use the platform. They will then select the client for which they are requesting this information. Following a simple 4-step process, as we see it over here that's been clearly laid out, the auditor would first need to create a client profile. So they'll add in the client's relevant information, as well as the authorized signers who need to provide approval in order for the bank to release this information. The second point is for them to add in the accounts for information that they require for your client's audit purposes. By selecting add over here, they have an option of responders. In our example, we will use financial, which covers your banks and financial institutions. The auditor is then able to search for a particular institution here and then view the relevant responder that's making use of the platform. So they have access to a global network now of more than 4,000 financial institutions to which they can send requests. So it's really borderless transacting and banking in this regard. They will complete the necessary information as required by a financial institution. They will review it and then save it for future use. So when conducting future audits for the same client, they can easily reinitiate this process. Moving on to the third step, which is client authorization. With confirmation, this is obtained with the click of a button. By simply clicking on request, the auditor will be able to select the team member at the client from whom they want to request this authorization. The client will then receive a notification and be able to provide this authorization or approval electronically. Once authorization has been received, as we see it here, the auditor will then be able to initiate the confirmation. By clicking on Initiate Confirmations, the auditor will select the date at which they require the information, and this request will then be sent through to a financial institution on a lifetime basis for them to get to work. I would now like to quickly log out and log back in as a bank user to demonstrate how the request is received and completed from a bank's perspective. Similarly, when logging in as a bank user, you will receive a tutorial video on how to use the platform. The bank has complete power as to the team members who can actually view and process this information. So at any given time, there is accountability and transparency as to which team members have access to the platform and are providing requests. So you're enhancing the quality of it and ensuring that it's being attended to by approved bank personnel. With a quick search functionality and the ability to search by multiple criteria, a status summary providing you with a view of the total number of requests that need to be attended to, as well as their status, and quick links to useful reports. The team has all the information they need to manage this process effectively and efficiently. I wanted to move on to the confirmation dashboard here. And what we see is the team has access to a central queue. They can select the relevant department, and by navigating here and by selecting on search, they will be able to view the relevant requests that need to be completed by them. The platform provides pertinent information, such as your client name and aging. And this allows the team to prioritize themselves if they see that a request is, for example, pending towards going over the service level agreement that's been maintained with the client. And it really allows them to prioritize these and get these out of the way in an orderly fashion. To access a request, you simply click on the account ID of here. So when a bank team member accesses it, they will have this pre-populated information that's available to them. If we see at the top, you have a comment section, which is for internal bank use only. So the team member can make a note for themselves or for another team member, allowing them to collaborate very effectively on the tool. If we look at the client statement, this is basically the client's statement of approval. You have the client's information, which you can agree against your bank records. You have your requester information, which is the details of the audit firm that is asking for this information. With the authorized signers, we touched on a comprehensive electronic signature a moment ago. The team would simply click on view signatures over here. They would then be able to view the details of the client, a date and timestamp of when they had actually provided the authorization. And as mentioned, the system goes so far as to record the IP address of the device that was used to provide this authorization. You can simply hover over the client signature to give it a closer inspection as it enlarges on screen. Moving further down the form, we see your client's account information here. It gives you a view of the type of information being requested and provides you with an account ID for reference. If the team is satisfied with the information received from the auditor, they will source the information and electronically upload it here. At this point, within the questions and comments section, the auditor may raise specific questions to be addressed by the bank. And the team has the option or the availability to simply respond to it here. The bank team member can also make any specific notes that they wish to bring to the auditor's attention. With the responder statement, this is a custom field for the bank, issuing a disclaimer and really addresses the compliance and risk aspects of this process. Assuming that all is in order and the team has completed the request, they can simply click on confirm. And this will then go through to the auditor on a lifetime basis and help keep your client's audit on track. But let us take the example that all is not well. You may have the instance that the authorized signer from whom the auditor has obtained authorization is not the correct person to be providing approval for the bank to release this information. The bank has the option to deny this request. It will then be sent directly back to the auditor, informing them of the reason for why it was denied. They can then correct the information and resubmit a request through to the bank. The hold request option over here allows the information of a request that's in progress to be saved. So if you have partially completed something before sending it back, it will make sure that you don't lose any information that you've actually completed. With the need more information function, this allows the bank to reach out directly to the auditor and obtain clarity on any information provided. This then saves the time and effort that is otherwise expended on responding on incorrect information requests which come through from auditors. Going through the platform provides clarity on its seamlessness and how the completion of these requests can be reduced from days to a matter of minutes. The best part about confirmation, it is completely free for financial institutions and takes less than 3 hours to implement. Auditors pay for the use of the service to receive quick and accurate responses on which they can place greater reliance as a means of audit evidence. Moving your organization into the future, confirmation can fully automate this process using our existing APIs. Switching back to my presentation. At this point in time, I would like to thank you for joining me this afternoon, giving me your time. I would also just like to take the opportunity to invite you once again to please engage with me on a conversation on how we can work together and support you on your digital transformation journey. I would like to welcome any questions you may have.
Is there any question? I think there is no question.
Thanks so much, Yves.
Thank you for your presentation. It was good and very interesting.
Thanks so much, Yves. Have a great afternoon. I look forward to the rest of the conference.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Sure.